Hello and welcome back to Ebsworth Street. As you can see, I'm in the log cabin. Yesterday was Christmas Day, today's Boxing Day. So I thought I'd do some work on the layout as the majority of the family have gone out. So it gives me a bit of chance to relax and do some modelling. So today what I've been doing is I've been fitting some figures that a friend of mine has painted for me, and they're from Model U. So he's very kindly painted various different figures, and I've placed some on the layout. Also I bought some little lights, and they're from Layouts for You, and they're quite good. So I fitted those in. They're all dangling down ready to be fitted, and I've got some other various little tricks that I've got to play with. I've got myself a flickering blazer barrel, so I may put that in there somewhere, or I may put it up near the depot. Haven't quite decided yet. So I've been fitting some of the absolute aspect signals, which you've probably seen in a previous video, and which I've just fitted down there, so you can probably just see a couple of them there. Obviously I fitted a couple of point motors in anticipation ready for that. So what I'll do is I'll take you down to the layout and I'll show you what I've been doing. So here is some of the layout. You may have noticed I've done some of the third rail all the way along down the line, and I've added a lot more trees in since then. So what I've done here is I've added the lights in from Layouts for You. I've also got some of these Model U figures. As you can see, there's one there that I've stuck on, and there's another one there with a lamp, simulating that if that doesn't work, it looks like he's actually going out to replace the lamp in instead of the buffer stops. Added some pallets, which obviously you would see sitting around a depot area. We've got our office building in there, and then over behind we've got the GSMR mask with another 3 Model for You figures, which I've obviously stuck in place, and they look like they're going into the GSMR area. And then further down I've got a relay cabinet, which is what they call one of these where they keep all the relays in, which obviously works all the signalling. And there we go, so you've got 2 shunts there with 2 they're basically HM1000s point machines, and then you've got another 2 signals there with another 2 point motors, imitation of what they're going to be. So I've got the hole there ready for the signal to go into place. Pretty much done for the weathering on the track side of this. The next obviously is to try and work out where the fence is going to go, and then where the fence is going to restart along there, because obviously the yard sort of area, and then I don't know if to put a fence up going across. I'm not really decided on what I'm going to do for this bit at the moment yet, but I've added in the signals, so they're pretty good. Still got to wire them in, they're still dangling down there, so I've got a fair bit to do. And obviously this being one of the main balls, this is where the panel will either sit or it will sit at the back. I've not quite decided on what. So that is quite a fair bit of what you can see what's happened to the layout. Added quite a lot of greenery to the layout. Added, so the third rail's done up to this board at the moment, and I've still got the third rail to put into place here. I've also got some lovely 3D printed bits. So I've got some, which is a TI-21 track circuit tuners. And I've also got some bonds and some alley plates, which also be able to put some wiring up to. And then also which I think these are fantastic, which once they get painted, is some trolleys for the road rail vehicles. So I quite like the idea of, in previous videos you may have seen some of the on-track machines that I've got from JCB. I'm quite tempted to get some of these painted up and actually get those down in the yard, down the far end where the main scenic section is going to be. Obviously this is quite green, so I've added quite a lot of trees. So far on the layout, I think there's just over 250 trees. Got to put another relay cabinet in there, and then also down here I done a little poll on Instagram. Was I going to put a walkway across here? I'm still not quite sure what I want to do. I've added in a walking bit there, mainly because obviously it depends on what type of bridge it is. So I just thought break it up a little bit of scenery wise. And obviously just behind the train, just move it out of there. I was just testing to make sure none of it actually hits the top of the third rail. Got another hole there, where one of the lovely little signals from Absolute Aspect, which are just sitting over there on the bench, they will actually go in there. So just looking down the line, it looks not looking too bad. Still got to get the front painted again, obviously where I've been using the old spray can. But yeah, fingers crossed, hopefully we should be able to do a little bit more. So what also I think what a lot of people don't realise is when you go to exhibition, you've got a lot of unboxing and unboxing to do. So these are the foam inserts that I have. Ones I prepared earlier. Just move stuff out the way. So this one here is an 8 row. So this one has, I'll take it out, he says, there we go. So that's long enough for a class 66 to fit in there. And they do various different types of ones. So these ones are 8s. I've got quite a few all in down there. That one there is a 5, and that one's got the Dapol MJA GBRF wagons. Got a couple of 5s up there, and then a couple of more 8s. And obviously that's where you can see all the different types of stocks. It makes it easier to transport to shows, because I know a few people have been messaging me, asking me what I use. So yeah, there's a little bit of an update. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do some more scenery. I'm going to start putting in some more little bits of detail, and then you can come and join me actually fitting up and looking for the right place where I'm going to fit the panel to the front or the back. So the panel's now been fitted. As you can see, here it is. So what I've done with this one is, depending on what shows you're at, you don't know what you want to do, if you're going to have out in the front or you're going to have space at the back. So this one here, I've kindly, very cleverly designed it that there's screws that, or bolts, whatever you want to call them, they actually wind out, so it gives you the option of either bolting this on the front or bolting this on the back. Well, the main operation of the layout, obviously, is to run in trains along the back. and obviously on this one, it gives you that opportunity to run trains in and around the yard, which is one of the ideas that I always tried to have, give you a little bit of a focus point. So you've got 4 to 6, 3 to 5, and you've got auto buttons for those. And it also then means you can then run round in the yard without disturbing the main line until you want to go out, and etc, etc. So that's the idea for that. So that sits there quite nicely, and obviously, yes, okay, it's right in the middle where you'd expect people to sit, but it also means that because you're standing here, a lot of people can see things from different angles, depending on where you are looking. So you can see the two shunts there looking down, so if people are looking this side, looking down, and it also gives somebody the option to have a look at seeing what the actual panel will look like. The scene's changed. I'm down on Monorail Club now. Gordon's Lane's back at home, so you're wondering why. Well, I've got Hornby Magazine coming down today to film another one of my layouts. It's one that we built in the club, called Beckwick. It's a Southern Region, third rail layout. We first started building it back in 2010, 2011. Unfortunately, we then lost our permanent premises. So we then decided to rebuild it, and it's the only layout that we've actually nearly say finished, but is a layout ever finished. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up over here. I'm going to take some running shots, and I'm going to show you around the layout. Something different. So Hornby Magazine are here. They've set up and they're just taking some photos of the layout. You've seen some of the clips that I've done earlier on, so I'm going to give you some more clips now and hope you enjoy the layout. So I hope you enjoyed Beckwick. Something completely different and a little bit of an insight to what Hornby magazine have done. So fingers crossed, hopefully it should be out in the June issue of 2022. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do some clips on Gordon's Lane back from 2021, so you can see what we've done so far, where we've got up to, and it gives me a bit of time to have a little rearranging here. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes. So I hope you enjoyed those little clips there, taking you back to when we first started Gordon's Lane. It's a pleasure to have you along with this journey. So today, I'm actually going to be doing some wiring again. So I've got some lights, which you may have seen earlier in this video. Got some little towel lights and things like that I'm going to be, like walking lights, buffer stop, and that. So what I'll do is I'll take you down and I'll show you what I'm going to be doing. So here's a tag strip which I've obviously made, and they're in. Here are the track feeds for the buffer stops, and what I've done is I've used normal track wiring there. So what I'm going to do is, instead of then wiring them to the terminals up here, which you can see there, I'm actually going to wire them to the tag strip and then wire them to my module. So all I do is I just strip the wire. You can use wire strippers, you can use whatever you see fit. And what I'm doing here is just getting the two wires, get them like that, and then all I'm going to do is just twiddle them together so they are quite taut, and then as you can just about see them now, I'm just going to get the solder and I'm going to tin the wire. So tin the wire there, so that's all ready, and then obviously I've tinned those down there. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pull one of those away. Let's move the camera so you can actually see what's actually going on, and then I'll move you around, there we go, and then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to feed it through there. So all I'm going to do is heat up that, feed it through the hole, he says, there we go. I'll just heat it up, leave it there for a couple of seconds, pull it, and there we go. I'm going to do exactly the same now with the black. So I have all my lights and accessories independent from the DCC. So if the DCC does decide to cut off, at least the layout's got some lights, and obviously the signals will still be working independently from the traction current, which is exactly what Network Power will do. I'm just going to solder this one in. There we go. So they're in now for the buffer stops. So all I'm going to be doing now is, let's just spin you around and take you over into this corner. So what I've got here is, these are little lights, which are these. They're from Layouts for You. So I'm going to wire those in now, just show you a little way of doing it. So what I tend to do, as you can see here, I've actually got some PCB board, and I've got some wires that I need to solder resistors onto. Now it really does depend on what you want to do and etc. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some solder onto the PCB, and all I've done is I've just cut those up there, so it just gives me something to glue, something to solder onto. I find sometimes these wires can be quite thin, so what I tend to do is I tend to be very clever and split them up in some ways. So here I know that the black wires can all be touched together, so I'm going to get a little black wire from this side, from this one, just going to poke it through. And that's what I like about what Tim has done with his baseboards. He's actually allowed for wires to be placed through, so you don't have to drill any additional holes. Now my main concern is sometimes if you put wires through there like I do with the cables, you might catch the wires as you're feeding the cables through. So that's why I've tried to use all the necessary holes underneath. So I'm doing exactly the same here. I'm going to twiddle them together so they're there, filed together, and then I'm just going to tin them. Now sometimes with these wires they don't have much strength in them, so you just got to find the best place just to dab a bit of solder on them, just to hold them together. And then all I'm going to be doing with this one is popping it in this corner here, which I know you're probably not going to see it because of my fat hands in the way, and these can be a little bit temperamental sometimes, so it's just trying to get the right angle. So heat it up and then just let it solder down. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I need to solder a resistor onto these ones, onto the red. So they provide the resistors for you anyway, which is very good of them. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to poke this red wire through first, and then where the red wire is, all I'm doing is going to wrap the wire round the solder and then just place it down onto the baseboard. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to heat up, put some solder on just to sit it in place. There we go. Now it will be quite hot. You will get, many of you have done soldering before, you will understand that sometimes it does get a bit hot. So you can see there it's not going to fit. So all I'm going to do is just cut a little bit of excess of the wire off from the solder, from the resistor, sorry, and then I'll move you around so you can actually see it. And then all I'm going to do is just grab the resistor, try and make the wire as straight as possible, and then put it into the middle of this one. So heat up the solder. There we go. And so try not to get it too close. Oh, there we go. That's number one done. So now we've got another 6 to go. So we repeat the process, exactly the same thing again, find the red wire for this one, and then wrap that round the leg of the resistor. It's always important to read the instructions because some have built-in resistors and some need resistors, so it's always wise to just have a quick read of what is required, because I know sometimes I've done it before, I've set stuff up and I've accidentally not put a resistor on, and then all I've heard is pop, where it's actually then blown the light. So here you go, got another one there coming in, just heat up the solder. There we go. So that's another 2. Now you can see the wires are up a little bit. So what I tend to do is, just a bit on the safe side, is not many people see the underside of the layout. But what I tend to do is I get some electrical tape, one that I didn't prepare earlier, and all I do is I just somehow try and get them to stick down onto the, just to protect them, just in case if anybody, when you're doing other wiring or you're filling underneath for an unknown reason, it just protects them in that way. So now I'm going to do the same with these two over that side, and then at least in that way they should be all in and ready to go. So I'll come back to you in a moment. So here we have, with the lights on now, done. So I'll turn on that set of lights. That's the far one. So as you can see, I've put in the walk-in lights, and I've also put the buffer stop lights in. So they're now in place. And because I'm using my own DCC modules to wire up, I've actually now wired in one of the shunts, which you can just about see if I zoom in there. There you go. So it's a light. We have power. So now I'm gonna go ahead, do some more ballasting, do some touch up there. I had a bit of a broken rail, so I had to replace that. So I'm now going to be starting to doing some of the scenery along this side, fitting the third rail, fitting the wall in, finish off the fencing. What you can see there, that I really am liking this area now. As you can see, the lights are quite nice. I can't wait to put some more detail in now. I've got some more to fit in down that end and finish off the shunt. So that's it for this video. I just want to say a huge thank you again for all your support throughout the year. Most of you know I only started the channel back in March, and over 300 subscribers already. I truly am very grateful for your support, your comments, and if you see something that you want to know more about that I'm doing, just put in the comments down below, and I'll try and get back to you, and I may even feature it in the next video. So I wish you all had a very good Christmas. I hope you had a fantastic New Year. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications, and fingers crossed, hopefully you'll be seeing more of this in the next couple of months to come. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.